So welcome to this presentation on the MPAI Metaverse model. Why we have this presentation? Because there's a growing industry interest in the Metaverse. We think of new jobs, business opportunities, user experiences, and also because we assume that there will be enormous transformational impacts on virtually all sectors of human interaction. MPAI plays a role in standards and AI, and these are the main drivers for the development of the Metaverse. MPAI has developed several standards, we'll see a few, that address Metaverse requirements. Some of our members have long experience in multi-industry standardization projects, and MPAI can play a positive role together with many other SDOs, standard development organizations. So the MPAI Metaverse model is a project designed to facilitate the establishment of standards promoting Metaverse interoperability. So I mentioned MPAI. Let me say a few words about MPAI. It is moving picture, audio, and data coding by artificial intelligence. It is an international, unaffiliated, not-for-profit standard development organization. It develops AI-based data coding standards with clear intellectual property right licensing frameworks. And the MPAI's approach to AI standardization is component-based. What does it mean? It means that we may have an AI application that can be quite big. We subdivide it in the smaller component called AI modules, aggregated in one or more AI workflows and executed in a standard environment. So the basic assumption that the AI module may come from different developers, but they can be integrated in workflow because they satisfy the specification emitted by MPAI. What did we do so far? We have a foundational standard, the AI framework. We have 3 application standards: content-based audio enhancement, compression, understanding of financial data, essentially prediction of company performance, and multimodal conversation. Then we also have a system standard, which is called governance of the MPAI ecosystem. What are we doing currently? We are about to approve the neural network watermarking standard. Tomorrow, there will be 2 presentations, one at 8 a.m. and the other at 1800 p.m. UTC, of course. Then we are extending the 3 standards, adding security, adding audio scene description to audio, and extending the capability of human-machine conversation. We are developing the avatar representation and animation standard, and we have 6 exploratory activities on AI health, connected autonomous vehicles, server-based predictive multiplayer gaming, AI-based end-to-end video coding, AI-enhanced video coding, and XR venues. Important is the fact that at the beginning of December, the IEEE has formally adopted 3 MPAI standards, and which are now IEEE standards. They are 3301 for AIF, 3302 for audio, and 3300 for multimodal conversation. The 4th one on finance is on its way. So let's talk finally about the MPAI Metaverse model. So why the people are thinking about standard for the Metaverse? Because the World Wide Web has shown the power of interoperability. And therefore, there's an agreement, global agreement, I would say, that Metaverse instances should be interoperable. But this is a nice word, but what does it mean exactly? It would take too long to say, but I will say a few words later. The MMM, as I have said before, is an outline of a Metaverse standard project, and it provides a few outputs. The first, it offers an approach to provide metaverse interoperability that is based on proven methods adapted to the very new context. It also provides a roadmap, and it also provides the first steps. So it's an approach with a roadmap and the first step of the roadmap. So what is the approach? The metaverse standardization is clearly highly interdisciplinary because it can cover so many different applications. Therefore, thinking of metaverse interoperability as an abstract notion cannot be one size fits all. That cannot be. So the approach that is proposed is to identify and classify metaverse functionalities that are provided by legitimate industry requirements. Develop common metaverse specification that provide the technologies to support the identified functionalities, and then group these technologies into industry support profiles. By doing this, implementers can retain a controlled level of interoperability. So I think that this is going to be a tough job, but I think it's worth trying, and the MPAI started trying. So the content of the MPAI metaverse model, it contains definitions, assumptions, use cases, external services. I will say more about. Then we derive functionalities. Then we assess the state of technologies supporting the functionalities. We study the governance issues. We provide an action plan for 2023, and we provide ideas for the longer term effort. So let's go for the definitions. So this is a tough issue because definition is always a hard job for any area, and it is much harder for the metaverse because of its multidisciplinarity. We find that different fields have different backgrounds, terms, technologies. The same notion has different terms, and the same terms have different meanings. We may have conflicting terminologies. This is an approach. If we do that, people are pleased because they see their own terms, but then we have a Tower of Babel. If we provide a unified terminology, most people will not be happy, but then we can share mental models that are reflected in the terms. After all, a consistency of terms and definitions is what matters, because terms are not self-standing entities. They are highly connected. Therefore, consisting of terms and definitions, and the labels, well, they can be anything. So these are some examples of terms. So we have, for instance, digital human, digitized human, and virtual humans. Digitized humans are those that are created by a computer that has a human appearance when rendered, but is not a digitized human. Then virtual human is an object that has the appearance of a specific human when rendered. Then we have a definition of object, data structure that can be used by a process, render it, for instance, it is rendered to cause an experience. Persona is a manifestation of a user. Social graph, user account, identifier, profile data. I mean, they are over 100 and growing terms that we have collected, and we think they are they match it together and they keep consistency. So any project of this size should make some assumptions so that we, at every step, we don't rediscuss certain issues. So there are three, which are very basic. The first I have already said, and that is that MPAI develops a set of functionalities required by metaverse instances to support legitimate industry requirements. The second is that standard developing organization will develop the common metaverse specification. I have said this. And now let me confirm the fact that a metaverse governance to be defined should have the task of grouping common metaverse specification technologies into profiles responding to industry needs. So what is implied by my words is that we are proposing to use the profile approach for the metaverse. This is a nice idea, I think, but we have to be cautious because there are some difference compared to, say, the MPAI profile. By the way, the profile approach developed by MPAI has been consistently adopted for all successive standards. So the difference is that in the case of profiles, we are talking of video, audio as well. But here we're talking of metaverse, which is an amoeba. Industry, well, it's homogeneous, kind of homogeneous, but in the case of the metaverse, we have very heterogeneous industries. In the case of functionality, people know it, kind of, but here we have ideas because even a common definition of metaverse does not exist. The technology is the available, accessible technologies when we do standards. Here, some important technologies are missing and are likely to be missing for a few years. Profiles, well, in the case of digital media, there were profiles of a single standard. Here we are talking of grouping different standards. Regulation is known or kind of known. In the case of the metaverse, is unknown. The scope, national, regional, and here is global. Technology, data processing, and here is data processing and a lot of artificial intelligence. The IP model was the decade-old consumer electronic models. Here is likely to be very complex because the very application domain are unclear. So this is a full list of assumptions. So the first three we have said. Then we have a metaverse definitions. Yes, we have a metaverse definition. It is an extremely minimalist definition because we say it's a collection of digital environments, yes, that are implementation of profiles built from common metaverse specification tools. So profiles built from common metaverse specification tools, populated by digital objects that represent either real object or computer-generated object. So in this sense, this is minimalist, and it matches the fact that we assume that a metaverse instance will be developed and deployed based on profiles selected by the metaverse manager, the developer, and we cannot contradict this assumption. This definition applies to many services and applications that existed today. So let me say more about interoperability. I think it's another interesting issue. So for this, I am using work that was done over 15 years ago in MPEG when the MPEG V standard was used. So I'm not going to explain this model, which is quite interesting, but it will take too long. Because what it says is essentially, if I wanted to have a metaverse environment A interoperate with the metaverse environment B, either I share the technology that is used for implementing the two metaverses, or I have to go through a conversion. And the conversion that is proposed here is the common metaverse specification. So either you implement natively the common metaverse specification, or you have to provide a conversion function. Then the role of AI in metaverse, the organization of a metaverse. A metaverse has layers. So if you go here, so here we use 4 layers. On the top, we have the experience layer. Then we have the enabling service layer, the platform layer, and the infrastructure layer. There are definitions for these. And then we have external services that the enabling service layer may need in order to provide the service that it intends to provide. Then we have up to where we have a metaverse and from where the metaverse starts, the fact that the metaverse is not just for humans. If we have a connected autonomous vehicle, you have a good example of metaverses that are not consumed by human, but are created for the purpose of making actions. Another point is the fact that the metaverse is not an asymptotic point. This is reflected also in our definition, because we say that we have plenty of metaverses today. So it's impossible to say that we give a definition of metaverse and we wait until the first instance is implemented, and then we say, okay, now the metaverse here starts. That's not going to happen. The metaverse is digital, and this has implications. Who is a user? Maybe I should say more about this. So we define a metaverse user as either a digitized human driven by a human, or else a virtual human driven by a process. And then a metaverse user can be rendered and perceived as an avatar. Then we have the difference between representation and presentation, the hierarchy of scene and object, regulation and governance. So this is the full list of assumptions. And the document that is posted on the web contains, of course, all the necessary details. Let's go to the use cases. If we want to define functionality, of course, we have to know what we are talking about. And we have started collecting 18 application domain. We had a broadcaster this morning who said, what a pity, because we should also have an application for broadcasting. I say, yes, good idea. Let's work on it. So here we have for automotive, we have for retail, we have for travel, for esports, food, finance, I mean, plenty of cases. What is interesting is that we develop this example. Let's take the retail example. So here we identify something that can be done in the case of retail, place furniture and gadgets in virtual apartment. This is actually happening. Try on makeup using an avatar. This is happening. Try on clothing, sunglasses, or facial accessories using an avatar. Offer a virtual interactive experience with the object that you want to buy, such an automotive. And finally, but this is not the end, of course, touch, taste, or smell virtual object using haptic, gustation, or olfactory interfaces. In the case of haptics, I think things are moving well. In the case of gustation and olfactory interfaces, we are at the level of proprietary solutions. This is an example of a workflow. A user is in the preferred metaverse environment. For instance, he's in a virtual sports club, then goes to a metaverse environment, and this is a shop selling sports equipment. The user has haptic gloves and, of course, a VR headset, and uses the glove to feel the rackets, then selects one, enters a metaverse environment, which is a virtual tennis court, where he plays tennis with an autonomous virtual human, using the racket, the virtual racket, of course, finally converses with a sales clerk, and finally buys the real racket. So you might say this is very superficial, and I certainly agree with you, but it provides a lot of interesting functionalities that the metaverse environment may like to support. Then we have external services. So why do we need external services? Because the metaverse may rely on services that are not metaverse instance specific. So the metaverse does not have internally those services. And therefore, if it is provided by external entities, independent entities, particularly to other metaverse instances, like say a marketplace, then you need to have interfaces, and that's now we are not in the business of defining interfaces, but we are in the business of defining what the interfaces should do, not the technology that provides that. Functionalities. This is the core of the work. Many pages, 40 pages, more than almost a half of the document is about functionality, and this is just at the beginning. So let me, before entering into that, let me have a very simple sketch of what we call universe, which was the real world. A universe environment, which is, I mean, my room, for instance, your home. Okay, so we have a universe environment, and then we have in the metaverse has an environment that partially mirrors the universe. The green ones have a correspondent in the universe. The blue ones are synthetically generated inside the metaverse. Then we have other environments on one hand and the other hand. Then we have a lot of functionality that are required, which are, you will see more in details, universe perception by the metaverse and the universe perception by the metaverse. Then we have interaction. We have a metaverse perception by universe, we have search, and then we have economy support, and then we have identity. I mean, of course, there are more functionality, but this is just to give you a sense of what we are talking about. So what are the MPAI Metaverse Model functionalities? So as I said, a set of functionality that some metaverse instances may support. We don't claim that the functionality are exhaustive because they will never be. And the functionality are not expected to be provided by all metaverse instances because this is the profile approach. And the metaverse manager will select the profile that respond to their needs. So these are the 2 of the 9 functionality areas. So one is the metaverse instance. We have management, organization, features, storage, process management, security. So let's go to process management. Now I'm going to the website because this data are available online. So you will see here that the process management is in the area instance, and the sub-area is process management. And this functionality is called smart contract. This is a functional because the metaverse uses smart contracts stored on a blockchain. I repeat, this is not a requirement. This is a functionality that a metaverse environment may decide to support or not. So let me go back to our slides, and I will try to move more quickly. Then we have the metaverse environment, which is a subset of a metaverse instance. And we have here a very important area, which is the metaverse to universe association. For instance, we have the twin environment features. This is the title of this functionalities. Then we have a metaverse universe association. We have metaverse twin environment delay, and consistency of the metaverse instance with the universe, and the metaverse universe misalignment. So you wanted to map the universe instance in the metaverse, but for several reasons, say, for instance, network problems, you cannot do it. So let me go back here. And then we have, as I said, the perception of universe by metaverse, and we have the 5 signals of the human senses plus other data, and say in the other direction. Then for the metaverse user, we have the identity, we have the profile of a user, we have the data of a user, we have how a user perceives the metaverse, and then the functionality that are oriented towards the virtual human. Then we have metaverse human interaction, interfaces, speech, visual, haptic, and brain-computer interface. So MPAI has quite a few interesting technologies for speech that we are certainly keen to promote in this context. Then we have content representation, scene description, object representation, content metadata. Of course, extremely important is economy support. So we have, so how you can open activity, what are, how you manage assets, how you make agreements, how you make transactions. And finally, information search, because it is likely that the current paradigm will need, as a minimum, adaptations, if not complete reconsideration. So the methodology I've already explained. Each functionality is indicated by 3 digits: the area, the subarea, and the title. Then let's go to the technologies. So as I have said already more than once, we are not in the business of defining technologies. We are in the business of making sure that the technology that exists can support the functionalities that we envisage. So let me give you an example of the challenges that the metaverse poses to technology. So imagine that you are in a metaverse environment. So you make an action, you move a hand, then your camera senses and processes the action. Then the data are transmitted by the network to the metaverse instance that hosts you. The metaverse instance processes and sends the data back to the user device, and the user device processes the data and presents the information to the human. And all this should happen within 20 milliseconds if we want not to damage the user experience. So what do we need from technology? This is a kind of requirements list. So we need a perfect signal representation for many signals. Then if we want to go to 8, 16 K images, like it seems to be required, of course, you can have other shortcuts, but so then you will have a lot of data to process. And so we must be sure that we have the technology to process the data efficiently. Then distributed processing elements. So in my workflow, I show that the data move across the globe. And so you need to have a distribution of devices, cloud, edge, and user devices to move the data between the human and the metaverse instance. Then fixed and mobile networks should have a performance that is blameless, because otherwise we kill the user experience. Then storage. Storage is very important. It's important for our handsets, but strangely enough, in 10 years, there have been something like a 20% improvement in the ability to store energy. And this is maybe not sufficient for what we need for the metaverse. Then, of course, we hope that the metaverse will replace energy consumption that is required to transportation, to move the people, to make buildings, to make facilities. But then we create thousands of metaverse instances, millions, billions of devices, and all these consume. And we have to make an assessment of how much is the consumption, because we have to keep that under control. Governance. So governance of the metaverse system. This metaverse system is something that you have not heard, but it is meant to be the ensemble of entities and rules, ensuring that metaverse instances operate in the interest of metaverse stakeholders. So let me give you examples. The management of the life cycle of a technology. So you identify a functionality, then you have proposal, acceptance, update, removal of a technology from the common metaverse specification. Then you have the life cycle of a profile. So a profile is needed. The proposal is made. The proposal is accepted. Proposal is updated, is removed. That is life cycle. Identification of a metaverse instance, metadata for a metaverse instance, interaction between metaverse instances. So these are an initial list of what the metaverse system should be in charge of, because this is strictly technical, but has to be done at the global level. So the internet would not exist if we did not have a global governance. Another aspect of governance is the metaverse and the law. The question is, can the metaverse happen without us sharing the meaning of some common words when they are used in the metaverse? For instance, authorship. What does it mean? What is a contract in the metaverse? What is defamation? When there is defamation? How can privacy be preserved, and what is privacy in the metaverse? Property. This is, of course, at the basis of a metaverse economy, but exactly what is that, and what are the rights, and what are the duties? Taxation. So how can you tax transactions in the metaverse or between the metaverse and the universe? Then you have tort and you have trademark. And this is not the end of the list. It's just an initial list. So I must make clear that the MPAI Metaverse model does not intend to resolve. It only intends to identify issues, stimulate the research, and gather results, because this is part of the success of the metaverse we are aiming for. So what's going to happen next? So the MMM has been posted for community comment at the beginning of January. It is the first step in this proposed profile-based metaverse standardization project. It is an open process to collect, harmonize, classify functionalities. Everybody is invited to read and to send contribution to the MPAI Secretary until the 23rd of January, because 2 days later we intended to approve version 1 of the MPAI Metaverse model. And this is not intended to be an endpoint, but it is just the starting point of a much longer process, and the subsequent steps are listed here. So the next step, and we are actually doing this already, we wanted to try and develop profiles, but they are not technology profile because we don't have technologies, but we do have functionalities. So we want to develop functionality profile, and we will like to draw some suggestions from existing metaverse instances, because there are quite a few with interesting features, and we want to see if it is possible to define, and this is not intended to be a definite point, but it's really to fine-tune the process that we are developing. Then we wanted to develop a metaverse architecture that includes the main functional blocks and the data types exchange between blocks. Then we would like to define the functional requirements of the data type that are exchanged. And then we would like to see what should appear in the common metaverse specification. So we want to try and build a table of contents just to see how it looks like. And then just to see if everything works well, we would like to see if we can map some of our technologies into this table of content. The goal is to be able to demonstrate at the end of 2023 that the proposed process to develop metaverse standards can be practically implemented. I mean, it's a lot of work, but you know, we have a lot of enthusiasm. And by the way, it is an open process. So I give you very first ideas about functionality profiles. This is not formally confirmed, but I think it is interesting to show how we are progressing. So what is then a functionality profile? It is a specification of a metaverse profile that only references functionalities included in the MMM, because it does not include the function technologies. An MMM functionality profile enables an implementer to develop a metaverse instance, let's call it MI1, that is able to interoperate with another MI2 if two things happen. Both use the same MMM functionality profile that is used by both use the same and utilizes the same technology that implement the functionality. Of course, number two, we are not able to provide, but you know, if this functionality profile will stay, then we can develop functionalities, we can develop technologies for that. So this is the idea. So imagine that we have a set of functionalities here. At the moment, we have about 150, which are clearly not sufficient. So we select the good ones, and we created the functionality profiles. Then, this is very hypothetical, I agree with you, but one day, someone can say, oh, by the way, this functionality profile is very nice. Let's have the technologies, and then we can have a technology profile. This is very speculative. It's just to describe the approach. It's not. We do not mean to do specifically this, because this is much more complex subject. So what will happen beyond 2022? That is very speculative. I agree with you, but we have three main things that need to be done. The metaverse governance mission should be defined, because this mission will be used to manage the subsequent process. Then we should develop, the common metaverse specification should be developed, and they will integrate the technology coming from the standard developing organizations. And then the technology profile specification that come from industry requirements. So because of this, this is a good time for you to join MPAI, international, unaffiliated, nonprofit, standard developing organization, developing standard with clear licensing frameworks. One interesting note in that until the next General Assembly, 25th of January, non-members who want to contribute to the MMM may attend our online meetings. They are on Friday at 1500 UTC. So this is MPAI. This is our motto: join the fun, build the future. Those who are here from MPAI know that we have a lot of fun. This is our website, and this is where you can find the online, the MPAI Metaverse model. Thank you for your attention.